Hello, everyone. We are here today with the famous Sam Villa. Hi, Sam.
Hi, Cheryl. It's great to be with you. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? It's so good to see you.
It's great to see you, and I look forward to coming to Canada soon.
I hope so. I'm recalling when I met you, because I know we were having this conversation today. And it was like the day of Contessa's
Hmm.
backstage or something like that. And we were watching rehearsals and we had met and we just like connected immediately. You're just such a beautiful person and you were so great to connect with. And I remember I said to you, can you be my date for Contessa's tonight? And you said yes.
Remember?
But you were like the most famous date I've ever had because every 5 seconds, Sam. And I did remember we had matching metallic shoes.
Yeah, we did. I remember that. Think I had those silver ones. My
Yeah,
silver
and I had my gold
like
boots. You had your
sneakers.
silver runners,
Yeah.
silver
Mhm.
sneakers. But anyway, it was such a great way to be introduced to you and meet you and just know a little bit about you on a personal level. So, Sam, I just wanted to say thank you so much for today and for coming. So, my first question to you would be let's go way back. Why did you become a stylist?
Well, you just never know where life's going to lead you, do we, Cheryl? Because I never thought I would be doing this. It was the last thing I thought I would be doing. Growing up in my dad's barbershop, shining the shoes and disliking every day I had to be there, primarily on weekends, watching my dad stand up all day, I thought, I'll never do that. But here I am today. I really loved sports in school. I participated in a lot of sports. And then one day I was in college playing volleyball. I came back to have dinner with my parents for the weekend, said, I want to go to beauty school. I want to drop out of college and go to beauty school. My dad was clapping underneath the table because there's always something he wanted me to do, get my hands in hair. And my mom was like, jaws wide open, like, what? What are you thinking? And I thought, I'm going to school. I'm a PE major. I cut school half the time to go play volleyball. And I really want to give this an opportunity. Dad's done well with the family. So I'd like to do that. So off to beauty school I went. But the deal was, if it didn't work, I had to go back and support myself through college for my last year because it's my into my junior year that I dropped out. But it's one of the best decisions I ever made, Cheryl, because I never thought I would be here today, where I am today.
So that's great. You ended up going to hair school. How was that experience for you?
It was a great experience. As a matter of fact, it was an experience where I'll never forget one opportunity. One day, something happened where my teacher came to me and she's like, "Come over here, Sam." And I'm like, "Yes." And she's like, "Your rollers are falling out underneath the dryer. I need you to go over there, apologize, lift the hood, and place those rollers in there as tight as you possibly can." And I said, yes, Miss Bojo. And off I went. And guess what? As I did that, I walked away. She said, and you might want to think about doing something else. Well, little did she know she poked at the wrong person because I took that more as an inspiration for me to prove to her that I could actually do this. That weekend, my father happened to call me up and he said, "Hey, what are you doing on the weekend?" I said, "Dad, I can't afford to do anything." He goes, "Well, let's go to a hair show. I'm going to take you to a hair show." I said, "What's that?" He goes, "That's going to be something you're going to need to remember. It's education. Education is something you always want to go because things are going to change. So let's go to this hair show." I said, "Okay, let's go." Off we went, Cheryl, and we went early. My dad was pretty smart. He got us here early and he got me in the second row. On the way there, I said, "Who are we going to see?" He said, "We're going to go this hair show where they're going to show you the latest things and the trends, and we're going to see an individual by the name of Vidal Sassoon." Now, this
Yeah.
was 1976. I'll let you all do the
Wow.
math.
Yeah.
But I was like, "Oh, that's the one person everybody talks about in school." And he said, "Yes, that's right. He's really famous. He's coming to San Francisco. He's doing this show." And I saw him with Roger Thompson, Christopher Broker, Alan Benfield Bush. And I watched him just take these four women and just melt the hair, just take it from long hair and just make these sculptures of these haircuts. And I looked at my dad. I said, "Dad, I want to do that." He's like, "Sit back." I said, "Dad, I want to do that." He goes, "Do what?" I said, "I want to be up there someday. I want to do that." He said, "Eyes here, Sam. That's all ego and no money. Prove to me you can do that. Support yourself. And most of all, stay humble and manage your ego." So I wanted to go back to school and prove to my teacher. So then, Cheryl, what was interesting, I had purpose, not necessarily a goal, but I had a purpose at that time in my career that I wanted to continue to teach or be a teacher, let's say. And it was funny because a lot of people ask me, well, how did you fall into this? It seems like you're just like a natural. I think a lot of it came, Cheryl, from sports. At the time I was coaching junior high, elementary level, and I was learning a lot in terms of how to teach people, how to teach them to respond to you and get them to do what you want them to do. So I think that's helped me along my career. But that's what happened to me in beauty school. I mean, it was just kind of a small kick, if you will, that just gave me a little bit more incentive, a little bit more drive to prove to my teacher at the time that I could do it. And who knows, by 15, 20 years later, I think she was at a show sitting in the front row. And I noticed her sitting there and she's like, just, do your thing. And she said, I want to talk to you afterwards. We spoke and she said, I said, give me some coaching. She said, Sam, the student is now teaching the teacher. And she goes, I'm here to apologize to you. So
Wow.
it was really a moment in my career that I can never forget. It was, you talk about gratitude, grateful that that happened. And then the gratitude that she expressed after something like that happened.
Wow, that's incredible that she was there and that actually happened. I hear these kind of stories a lot because I was a teacher too, as a makeup artist teacher,
Uh-huh.
and you hear stories about people saying, "My teacher told me I could never do it," or "A parent told me I could never do it," and it's hard because it's so demotivating. But yet at the same time, some people like yourself can take that and just go, okay, I'm going the opposite way with this, and this makes me motivated, and this makes me driven.
Yeah, it,
Um,
it really
but
did.
to have that experience and to have her like see you in your element when you've actually made it, that must have been so satisfying.
Yeah, Cheryl, it was satisfying in a way that, it kind of knocked me down. And you know how people say, you fall down, you get right back up. I
Mhm.
necessarily don't believe in that in today's world. I really believe now when I fall down, I kind of stay down there a little bit. And it's because there's more discoveries than just the reason why you fell down or why
Mm.
you made a mistake, let's call it. But I think there's more discoveries down there. And the more you can, when you stand up, if you can not only stand up with whatever it was that occurred, but if you can stand up with more discoveries, you stand up as a stronger individual. You stand up with maybe stronger skill sets, or you stand up even more motivated. So
Right.
just for the community out there, I think it's okay to fall down as long as you pick up a few discoveries.
Right. Well, you also mentioned something about humility and ego. And if you aren't humble and if you have an ego, you're not really necessarily maybe trying to learn from those mistakes. You're going to cover it up and just get back out there maybe.
Right.
But with that humility and less of an ego, you're there going, okay, what is it that I need to do better? What is it that I need to learn? Who can I learn from? Because we're always learning in this business.
Yes, we are constantly. I'm constantly learning. I think as a teacher or even as a hairdresser, we must never cease to learn. There's something always to learn. But in regards to the ego, I think ego is good. Don't get me wrong, my friends. Ego is a good thing to have. But my question is, how do you manage your ego? I think that's most important. And a lot of times I find for me personally, and some of the people that I coach that, it's fear that creates ego. Imagine that, when you get fearful of something like my son he's afraid of heights, but it creates this ego, like he's like, I can do it, I can, but then he finds he can't. But I mean, it's about letting go. And if you imagine the word LET and then EGO underneath it, it's let go. And what I'm saying is let go of the ego, because it's the ego that creates that fear. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's just fantasized experiences appearing real in your mind. And
Mhm.
fear is a good thing. I mean, a lot of people ask me, Cheryl, do you ever get uh, nervous before you go on stage? Of course I do. The day comes when I'm not nervous, then I'm taking it for granted, that moment for granted. It's time for me to do something else.
Yeah. Well, that's got to be part of the thrill of what you do is to get that nervous energy and to be able to be in front of a crowd. Like what's the biggest crowd you've ever been in front of?
Oh, wow. I'd have to say, Cheryl, it's the Redkin Symposium at,
Yeah.
what was it, MGM Grand or Mandalay Bay. There's probably like
Uh-huh.
10,000 people in the
Yeah,
arena.
I was there. I
Yeah,
was
that
there.
was so
It was
fun.
like a concert. It was
Yes,
massive.
it was
Yeah.
it was one of the best. It really was.
Yeah. It must have made you like super pumped to be there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the audience really does, you get a lot of energy off of the audience. But I mean, one thing you have to understand as an educator, you're there for them. So it's about being focused on the audience and not necessarily focused on yourself of who you are, or are they going to like me, or am I doing the right thing? Am I going to say it the right thing, the right way? I mean, if those questions start to come up, then I think, somebody's not practicing or somebody's not doing their homework.
Yeah, well, you have to be truly prepared to do something of that level. I guess would you do you like the more intimate type of education venues, like where you can really connect and chat with the audience?
I have to say I like them all.
Mm,
Now, if I say, if people say, "Well, why do you do what you do?" My reason for doing it is my goal is I want to make hairdressers better hairdressers. Period.
mm,
End of
mm.
story. So whether what venue it is, it doesn't matter to me. But I realize that what venue I show up, I need to show up different. Like whether it's an in salon, a look and learn, a classroom, an academy, or a main stage like symposium or something like that. I really have to really understand who's in front of me, and then that's how I'll set myself up in terms of how I'm going to teach, what I'm going to deliver, how I'm going to deliver, and why I'm going to deliver what I'm going to deliver. But I really believe now, Cheryl, it's about adding value, giving value. It's about the experience. I know just going to the salon, one of the most important things now, I think, in salon is experience. It's more important, and the value that you give, the experience that they have, the value that you give is more important. And don't get this wrong, than the skill set. Skill set is still important. Yet there's people in the consumer, I think, are looking for an experience of this whole concept that I believe right now that the hairdresser that stands behind the chair and becomes the teacher, becomes the educator, is the one that's going to win in the future. You're going to hold on to your clientele. You're going to gain a clientele. And it's because that's what consumers are looking for. They want an experience of somebody that's actually teaching them how to do their hair, how to take care of it, do all of that. But the experience, how would you do that? A simple formula would be use the phone as a tool, with a little tripod on the station with a card that says for a free tutorial, place your phone here. Imagine that, Cheryl. When you sit down, you see that, you're going to say, Sam, what do I have to do? Oh, Cheryl, when it comes time for me to blow dry your hair, it's important to me you are able to do it. So let's take your phone, let's place it here, and let's videotape me actually coaching you, handing you the tools, coaching you how to do it, showing you the product on one side, and then you apply it on the other side so I can coach you through the whole process of how to take care of your hair. And imagine it really takes care of the communication skills of retail because it's so authentically done because it's coming out of a place of genuine concern. Now imagine this: after your appointment's done, you're getting your phone back and you're going home with your own tutorial with me saying, "Good morning, Cheryl. I'm there on your bathroom vanity and walking you through how to do your hair." I think that's an experience and that adds value to an appointment and a service.
That is a super smart idea because how often do you hear, the client goes home and says, "Oh, you did such an amazing job in the salon, but I could never recreate that." Or, "I don't know the process. Oh, which way are you holding my brush?" Like just the simple tips like that just make a big difference.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, and if there's a if there's something that I've learned that I don't love, or if it's something that I find challenging, the simple solution for me now, Cheryl, is I now tell myself, look, I don't know the formula for success, but I do know the formula for failure is trying to please everybody. I'm good as long as I'm coming from a good place, from my heart, my soul, my hands, my mind, my words, and they're all coming from a good place. And that good place is that I want to help people be better. Then I know that I've done the best. So there's really, nothing that I don't love about it or anything that I don't find challenging because I keep that in my mindset. I'm going to do the best I can, give them 110, 125%. And if they go away displeased or happy or, uh, I just can't please everybody. And
Yeah.
that's what I used to find really challenging. I wanted to make everybody happy. And I don't
Mhm.
find that so challenging anymore.
Well, people are people, and
Yes.
we have different people in our chair every day. And yes, some we know because they've been clients for years, and then some people we don't. But we're constantly being we need to be the chameleon to the person that's in our chair. Like for me, it's always like I think about emulating their vibe. If they're like a super excited person, then you're kind of on their vibe. If they're kind of chill and they're relaxed, then you're kind of chill and relaxed.
Yeah,
So
that's
I find that's helpful.
yeah, fine. That's funny you mentioned that because there's a red artist by the name of Tara Abramovich who has this card at her station, chill or chat.
Yeah,
and the
yeah, I love
client
it.
can turn it the way they want. Like
Ah,
if
that's
they want
great.
to chill, then she knows, okay, my mindset is they want to chill. I'm only going
Yeah,
to communicate what I feel is important to them and leave them
yeah,
alone. Or they
yeah.
want to chat. Okay, then I'm going to have a little bit more conversation, which I thought was really valuable in the wellness side of thinking
Hmm.
about your client.
Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because I did a story called "The Silent Treatment," and it was just basically that because it was pre or post COVID and post COVID, and people are just not in the great mental
Yep.
state, and sometimes you want to go and getting your hair done is a relaxing service, so you
Yes.
just want it to be a relaxing service.
Right.
Or sometimes, you love your stylist and you connect with them so much. It's like, so what's happening with you now?
Yes.
And then it becomes a gossip section. So it depends on the person.
That's right. Yeah, and then our conversation goes nonstop. I mean,
Yeah.
when you think about it, you think about education too, what we've gone through in education. Education has really changed. You've got the value of digital education as a resource, and you also have I'm so glad is back, which is live education. And I think they're both valuable, Cheryl, when you think of education. I mean, just remember, continuing education, period, as a hairdresser is valuable, period.
Yes.
Otherwise you're going to get caught in a comfort zone. You get left behind. You're using the same communication skills. Your hands are doing the same thing. You're caught in this comfort zone of what it's making you money. But eventually you start to wonder why people start to disappear and say, hey, we're so and so. It's because they discovered something. So that's why I think, you got to embrace change, and change happens through education. I'll give you an example. I really believe education is the transformation, Cheryl. It can transform you. I always go every year to Salon International, and I just got back from London, my so-called personal sabbatical. So I
Mhm.
can go sit and learn, and I see my idols that I love, and get to an opportunity to say hi to them: Anthony Moscolo, Patrick Cameron, um, Mark Hayes. I mean, all these idols that I happen to have a lot of respect for. I get to see them in action, and they inspire me and motivate me. And I get to find out what's happening. I bring it back. I try to simplify it, and I give it out to the masses. I'm not an inventor. I'm a teacher. I'm a messenger. My goal is to go out and find it, dilute it, simplify it, and share it. That's the opportunity that I have, and why I go to Sun International. But it transforms my mindset. It creates a transformation in my hands in the way that I'm going to work and how I see myself working. Wait till you see when I come for fusion, the way that how I see silhouettes and how I see the method and the technique of how things can change. So
Mhm.
I really believe, people go. I see people and they're like at the BTC show. I'll go BTC show and I'm performing, but after I'm done, I'm sitting in on the classes. And I had this one person, what are you doing here? I said, I'm supporting these artists that are here and I'm learning. And just looks at me and he just says, you don't need to be here. I go, there's always something to learn. And he looks at me, he says, you just never cease to amaze me. I said, but
Mhm.
that's, why you do what you do is if you have the right mindset is as a teacher, I've got to go out to education. The other side of the coin is I think digital is great as long as you set yourself up to win. You're at home, it's comfortable, as long as you set yourself up to win and there's no distractions going on.
Mhm.
Digital is a great resource.
Mhm.
Yet live side of it is it's an opportunity where you can really like the difference of seeing, let's say Taylor Swift, seeing her live, whether we like Taylor Swift or not, seeing her live versus seeing her on a streamline, on digital. There's a big
Mhm.
difference between the
Mhm.
vibe, the attitude, the atmosphere. And that
Mhm.
happens at shows.
Yeah.
Let's face it, the computer can't touch your heart, or a show can really touch your heart, touch your mind. You get an opportunity to network and schmooze, if you will, and have some
Yeah. Well, you're really engulfed in the environment. You feel the energy. You're physically hugging, touching people. Like you're there, and it just can't be replaced in digital. I really think it's so great that it's back, and it's very key for
fun.
us to really learn and educate and be inspired. Um, yeah, and I love that you go see other shows and see other artists because
Oh,
we all get inspiration from different places, right? Even if you take a little tidbit of something from here and something from there, and you make that recipe your own, you mix it all together, it becomes yours, right?
oh yeah, you bet. And what's
Yeah.
great with these shows is you get an opportunity to create your own agenda. Go to where you want to go. What do you want to work on? Let's say it's long hair dressing. So spend the weekend focused on long hair dressing classes. Yet
Mhm.
it's just an opportunity. I mean, I think personally, every hairdresser should go to one live event a year. Just pick
Mhm.
one. Just pick
Mhm.
one that you feel is going to be good, one that, but I want you to go there with intent and purpose. I think, a lot of people will say, well, what does it take to do you? Like for the youth that are out there that say, okay, Sam, I want to be a platform artist. I want to be a teacher. I want to do what you want, what you're doing. Well, there's three things that I think are important. It's discipline, commitment, and consistency. So you have to have the discipline to continue to practice, practice, practice. I think that's with any hairdresser. But as a teacher, it requires even more practice. You have to make the commitment. The commitment is, what are you doing it for? Are you doing it because you want to be a rock star or a hero? That's the wrong commitment. If you're doing it because you want to help grow people, that's the right commit to it. Then commit to that. And that means that you got to continue to grow and then share with what you be willing to share it. It's not yours. It's
Mhm.
yours to give. It's yours to
Mhm.
share. And then
Mhm.
consistency is, you're consistent with how disciplined you are with yourself. You're consistent with your commitment, and you're consistent with how you go in and prepare. It's just a lot of preparation. But with those three things, even being behind the chair, I think those three things are valuable.
Absolutely. And speaking of learning and things changing, products and tools out there are constantly changing,
Oh,
which is part of the process why we need to learn and change and upgrade our tools. How and why did you start your tool line?
it was basically, I get that, and I'll be real simple. It was my exit plan. I know someday Redken's going to say, "Hey, everybody's seeing you," or everybody's going to say, "Hey, I've seen Sam before. Let's see somebody new." So it was basically for my exit plan. Yet on the other side, I was having some wrist problems, and it was about the tools. And I'll never forget going to a doctor for my hand. He said, "This is how a shear needs to be made. It needs to fit so it naturally fits in the hand. You're pushing your thumb over here because we would work with an offset or a crane handle. It puts our thumb in an uncomfortable position." So that's why I made a note of that. And years later, when I decided I wanted to get into tools, because I felt it was something I could help the industry in terms of ergonomics of how
Mhm.
tools were made. Hair dryers were heavy. Shears were improper for your hand. Combs, the fact that one is white and one's black. So you get the concept of contrast if you're working with dark color or light color of hair. So there was a reason behind all of the tools. The flat iron, basically beveled edges. That was
Mhm.
important to me. The texture iron, not a crimper. It's not a mini crimper, but it alters the texture of the hair, especially if you want volume at the base. And then the brushes, they're made the way they're made. Bamboo, once again, sustainability. Yes, I know if you put it in quartz, you put it in all those things, eventually the brush starts to crack. Well, it's bamboo. So there's other ways that you can clean it and following rules of the board rules by simply cleaning it. I'm also proud to say that, Oriac has the tools in Canada. So if you're interested in the tools, make sure you check out Oriac, check out all the Redken distributors. But Oriac is the ones that supplies the tools for Canada through all the Redken distributors. So make sure you go to their website and check it out.
Yeah, that's great. And it's really smart to create tools that are ergonomically correct for us. I mean, occupational hazards of being a hairdresser, it's like
Right.
a stylist. It's a thing.
Yeah.
And so,
Also,
how
yeah,
do we have longevity? Like, look at these stylists that are on the floor until they're like 60,
that's correct.
70.
One of the latest ones I'm proud of is our little mini flat iron, which is actually using a USB cord. Imagine you're on an airplane
Oh,
and you
I
plug it
love
right
that.
into the.
Is
It's a tough
that?
one. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
tough one because it's going to be heavy. It's going to be heavy.
yeah,
I've
right.
tested a lot of things, but someday, just like now perms are slowly starting to make a comeback. And the reason is because now they're even more friendly with color than they ever have been in the past because
Hmm.
color dominates. Color
Hmm.
dominates, but
Yes.
people are looking for altering their texture. Why? Because everybody's into these waves and curls and texture, just allowing their hair to happen naturally. It's just, once again, simplicity. So
Yes.
perms are making a comeback, but it's about how friendly is that chemical with color. If you remember back in the day, Cheryl, it said, okay, you need to make up your mind. You either
Yeah.
want the color or you want the perm, but I can't do both because of what it's doing to your hair.
And these days, it seems like texture is such a big trend, and it's growing, or just embracing your natural texture. I don't know. For me, I actually have curly hair, and I've straightened my
Really?
hair my entire life. Basically,
Wow.
I just don't like wearing it curly. But then I went away to Greece, and I used a plug that I could plug my blow dry brush in,
Right?
but of course it burnt it out because it's not the right voltage, and I had a freak out because then I had to have like my natural hair on vacation. And then I went in and got real sea salt in my hair, the
There you
actual
go.
stuff that's replaced in bottles these days. So
Yep.
it's amazing that that kind of hair is produced by real sea salt and real wind, and it's pretty nice. So that's a hard thing to recreate with products and tools.
Yep. Well, like we say, product is not an option; it's a necessity.
Yes. Yes. So if someone was to think about getting into making tools, I mean that's got to be a massive, expensive,
It's
lengthy endeavor.
Yes, it really is. Let me just say that it's a very temperamental endeavor, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Working with electrics is not easy at times.
Mm-hmm. And so, do you plan on just continuing to look for new innovative products or tools, ideas that would come out under your
Oh,
name?
you bet. You bet. We will continue to add on the shear side. We will always continue to add on the electrical side, always looking for something to add to the brand itself. But for me, it's got to be something that's necessary and something that works for the stylist, or there's something that's going to help them, just like the education side.
Right. Yeah. I mean, generally, a great idea is always just solving a problem,
Yes,
right? And
that's right.
that is the best idea. That's the most innovation that you can get out there. Yeah. So let's talk about just first of all, we have a shortage of people getting into the industry.
Yes.
How can we change that? What are we going to do to help get more people interested in our industry?
Well, I do see schools. Some schools are really doing very well, and I think more of the schools are enrollment on the beauty hairdressing side is dropping. Yet enrollment on the esthetician, the skin side, is going up. So I
Mm.
think it's basically the youth in terms of what are they looking for, and a lot of them I think are looking for something where they can actually go into school and get out and come out and do something. You know, spending a lot of time in school is something that I don't think that they really want to do. They want to find a career. Where can I find a good career? Go into school, learn it, and get out and start making some money. And then I think they're also falling for the lab coat. Is the idea of, well, I get to put on this lab coat instead of me standing behind a chair all day. At least I've got a lab coat. I don't know, something about that mindset in regards to that. I think that also kind of sits with me. I was talking with Pivot Point about that. The idea of how do we get people more in schools? I think we just need to really get the government to understand that the stats and the numbers that they have are not correct in terms of the amount of money that someone can average in making in this industry. I
Mhm.
can't give you the fact of what that is, but I've been in discussions with people in regards to we need help, Sam, in regards to getting the government to understand there's money to be made out there. I mean, let's face it. I began this by telling my dad did well as a barber, supporting the family back in the 60s. He
Mhm.
did really well doing that, but he worked really hard. So it can be done. But I think it's the idea of school is something where it's like any school. You're doing it, it's a commitment. It's not a job. I want the youth out there to understand being a hairdresser is not a job, it's a career.
Mhm.
You're investing in a career, something that you're going to be able to do for the rest of your life if you desire to. I think that's important for people to understand, and there is money to be made out there. I've done very well for myself, but it's been a lot of hard work, a lot of education, a lot of investment. Remember, an investment in education is an investment in your future,
Mhm.
regardless of what you decide to do, whether it be on the esthetician side or whether it be on the hairdressing or on the barber side. There's money to be made in all facets.
Yeah, it's true. It is a career, and there are just so many directions you can go as a stylist. Yeah, you want to start a tool line, or you want to start a product line, or you want to own a salon, or you just want to be an educator, or, like there's a lot of different avenues to go,
Yes.
and a lot of different ways. You want to be an ambassador for a brand, or you want to be on stage for a brand. There's a lot of different ways that the industry can take you, and it's such a creative industry too. And if you're an artist, like, this is an artist's industry.
Mm-hmm.
This is where we all get motivated by each other and inspired by each other. So
So well said, Cheryl.
I think that the creative side of it could be the real angle. I know you said about the government. I've actually tried to find some stats about how many stylists there are in the world. You know how hard it is to find those
Oh yeah.
stats?
Mm-hmm.
And I think partially because maybe they're thinking of only salon owners, but there's solopreneurs, and there's salon suite owners, and so yeah, I think part of it is getting those stats to help the industry understand and really show them what a creative, fun industry it is.
Well said, my dear. It's so creative and so fun. And I love the fact that you said there's so many avenues you can walk down. That's well said. Well said.
Yeah, thank you. So one more question. So for someone getting started in their career in this industry, what's your advice to get rolling? What do they need to do?
Well, I think, the first thing is I would go into a salon and sit in a salon environment and see if you really like it. I think that's important. See if you really like what you hear, what you see. I think that's the first thing. Surround yourself in that environment. If you feel it's something you want to do, then that's when you start to look at a school. I think to go to a school and really, go through an orientation of the school and take an orientation and find out, is that the right school for you based upon what area you want to focus on. Also, I think, I go back to that statement I made earlier. You want to commit. Once you enroll, you commit. Once you're there, it's all about discipline. You're showing up, whatever's going on in your world. When you put your hand on that door to walk in, you leave what's going on in your world, you leave it outside the door. That way you're going to maximize your time while you're in school. I think it's all about discipline and consistency and commitment. Those things are really, really important in order for you to have a successful moment of time while you're in school. You're learning with intent and purpose. I think that's really important. And then when you get out of school, go back again and visit a salon. Find out if that's the one you want to work in. Again, now you know more about the industry. You find out, are they answering the phone the way you think it should be, or you would love to hear it answered? Are they professional? What kind of work are they putting out of the salon? Is it the kind of work that you want to be surrounded with? I listen to how they communicate. That's important. And if you like it, then apply for the job. If they have an associate program, my recommendation is to take an associate program. Listen, my friends, you've got a choice. You can take an associate program or you can choose not to. If you choose not to, then you're going to be learning by trial and error. It's going to take a longer period of time to build a very, very successful, consistent clientele. Yet if you go on an associate program, you're going to be able to learn the things that you need to know and need to know to be successful. So that when you do go on the floor, boom, you know exactly how to perform what needs to be done. So those are the choices that you have. If they say they have an associate program, then then you want to basically see it in writing. If you don't see it in writing, that means they don't have one. Then move on and find another salon. And then I think, if you choose to go on and choose to be a salon owner, once again, that's a commitment. Find out, what does that involve? Take classes, in terms of that. Salon owners are changing the way that they run their businesses now. I love what Cheryl said. If you choose to be an ambassador, an influencer, there's homework and research that needs to be done on that. And those three things, discipline, commitment, and consistency, are involved in any choice that you make. I really believe, though, it's about, the idea of education, continuing education. I can't say that enough. No matter what avenue you choose to walk it down, continuing education is a must.
That's it. We never stop learning, nor should we think we are, until the day we die. We're always going to learn something new.
Yes, that's right. I always do. I always do.
Well, we try. Yeah, it's interesting too. You're talking about going into a salon and checking it out. I think it's very important to find your tribe. And by
Yes.
your tribe, your tribe is your vibe. You know, it's like if you're someone who's, you know, multicolored hair and
Right.
funky and fun and tattoos and, you know, like crazy, like let's go have some fun, like that kind of style. Or are you someone who's more like classic
Yes.
and simple and minimal and, you know, more chill? Like your vibe is your salon and the people that surround you. So I think you will fit in like a better puzzle piece if you find your right tribe.
Oh, yes. Once again, hey, you're spot on. Well said again. I love that.
Thank you.
Right? What was it? Right tribe, right vibe. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's so
yeah,
true. So true.
yeah. So and you know what's great, speaking of vibe, you're always so positive. How do you always stay so positive?
Yeah, thanks for that. I have my moments, Cheryl. Let's face it. I'm a human being, but it's once again, how do you show up? I mean, how do you show up? You need to ask yourself, how do I show up for my wife? How do I show up for my son? How do I show up for my team? I mean, it never hit me, Cheryl, until one day after I'd left, I got rid of my salon and my whole team of 20, 25 people. We said our goodbyes. And about every 5, 10 years, we get together, we have dinner. And they said, Sam, you need to know something about you. I said, what's that? They go, whenever we would ask for time off, we would always walk in and we would say, well, what kind of mood is he in? Is he in a good
Really?
mood or a
Oh yeah.
bad mood? Because
Mhm.
if he's in a bad mood, I'm not going to ask for my day
Yeah.
off. I said, wow, really? See, I never knew that my
Mhm.
mood affected how they would respond to it in terms of, do they ask for the time off or do they wait until I'm in a better mood? So that really woke me up in regards to, every morning you wake up, you're on stage and you've got a choice, and I choose to stay on above the line, if you will, and stay on that positive side. Yet I do have my moments. I'm a human being.
Yeah, and of course we all do. And however we are affects the people in our circle,
Yes.
whether they're in front of us or not, whether it's a one-on-one or whether it's a huge audience. Your energy affects your circle,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think it's really important to, when you're on, just put that behind you, whatever it is that's going on, and just put on your happy face, flick that switch, and just be that positivity that you need to be for that moment even.
Yes. I mean, it's all about attitude, isn't it? Attitude is contagious. And sometimes we just got to push the pause button and ask ourselves, is mine contagious at the moment? And also remember, God, Cheryl, it's amazing. I'll say hi to people, I get no response in today's world. I'll open a door for people, I get no thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll smile at people and I get no smile back. It's just very interesting. But that doesn't stop me. That's not
Mm-hmm.
going to stop me, because someday
Mm-hmm.
somebody is going to smile. Somebody is going to say thank you. Somebody's going to respond. But
Yeah.
the longest word in the English dictionary is smile. You take away the S and you got a mile.
I love it. I smile at dogs going by, you know, and then that makes the owner smile, and then everybody's smiling.
Yes. You're a dog lover. I believe you have two, don't
Yeah.
you?
Oh,
Two
I
or
have two
one?
cats too.
Oh,
I'm an
two
animal
cats.
lover.
Oh,
Yeah,
hey, there you go. There you
yeah.
go.
Yeah. Well, this has been a great chat, Sam. I mean, there's so many things that we could talk about, and I really appreciate all your thoughts about the industry and what's happening, and it's just been a pleasure speaking with you.
Well, thank you, Cheryl. And I want everybody to know out there at the brand Sam Villa, your progression is our obsession. And whenever you see me out there, I want you to come up and say hello, handshake, hug, whatever it is, my friends. Let's make sure that we connect. I want you to always remember, I stand before you motivated by the passion to teach, not to say what is right, not to say what is wrong. Over the years, I've learned from so many, and I feel I just want to pay it forward. So I'm proud to be a hairdresser who chooses to be a teacher. And I'll always be there for you. Go out there, find it, and pay it forward and share it with you. Thanks for watching.
I love it. Thank you so much, Sam.